Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English in Moments. I'm Elena, your host, and today we are tackling one of the most requested topics on this entire channel, one that learners ask about constantly, one that is enormously important for natural English and yet almost always taught completely wrong. We are covering idioms. Now, before you feel any sense of déjà vu, I want to be very clear about what today's lesson is not. Today's lesson is not a list of the idioms you already know. It is not piece of cake. It is not raining cats and dogs. It is not break a leg. You know those. Everyone knows those. They have been in English textbooks since approximately 1975. And if you say any of them in a real conversation today, you will sound like you learned your English from a very old textbook. Today's lesson is something completely different. Today, we are covering the 300 idioms that native speakers of English actually use right now in 2025. In offices and kitchens and pubs and phone calls and text messages and everywhere else that real English happens. The idioms that appear in every business meeting, every family dinner, every conversation between friends that has gone on past midnight. The idioms that are so embedded in how English speakers think that they reach for them automatically, without noticing, and that learners hear constantly and often half understand, but rarely fully master. Here is the truth about idioms that most lessons miss entirely. Idioms are not decoration. They are not occasional flourishes that make your English slightly more colorful. They are the skeleton of natural spoken English. They carry meaning more efficiently than literal language because they are compressed. They pack an entire situation, emotion, or concept into a short phrase that both speakers immediately understand. When a native speaker says they are at a crossroads, you do not need them to explain that they are facing an important decision with several possible futures. The idiom does all of that work in 3 words. And when you do not have the idiom, you have to reach for a longer, more effortful explanation that immediately signals that you are working harder than a fluent speaker works. The goal of today's lesson is to fill that gap permanently. 12 categories, 25 idioms each, 300 in total. For every idiom, I will give you the meaning, the context in which it is actually used, whether it is formal or informal, and a natural example so you can hear it in real use. Say every example out loud after me, every single time. Because idioms only become automatic when they have lived in your mouth, when your brain can produce them without searching. Let us begin. Category 1, workplace idioms in every office meeting, without exception. These 25 idioms are the ones that appear in virtually every professional environment in the English-speaking world. If you work in English, or want to, you will hear all of these regularly. Idiom 1, hit the ground running, meaning to start something energetically and effectively from the very beginning, without needing time to warm up. Register, informal professional, very common in job interviews and new project contexts. Example, she hit the ground running on her first day. By lunchtime, she had already identified 3 problems nobody else had noticed. Repeat, hit the ground running. Idiom 2, move the goalposts, meaning to change the rules, targets, or requirements of something after work has already begun, making it harder to succeed. Register. Informal professional. Often used with a sense of frustration. Example: we had agreed on the deliverables and then they moved the goalposts 2 weeks before the deadline. It was incredibly disruptive. Repeat. Move the goalposts. Idiom 3. On the same page. Meaning, sharing the same understanding, information, or approach to something. Register. Informal professional. One of the most used idioms in any workplace. Example: before we go into this client meeting, I want to make sure we're all on the same page about the pricing structure. Repeat. On the same page. Idiom 4. Get the ball rolling. Meaning, to start something, a project, a conversation, a process, so that it begins moving forward. Register. Informal professional. Often used in meetings or at the start of collaborative work. Example: I'll get the ball rolling with a brief overview of where we are, and then we can open it up for discussion. Repeat. Get the ball rolling. Idiom 5. A steep learning curve. Meaning, a situation in which there is a lot to learn in a short period of time, and the learning is difficult. Register. Informal professional. Used to describe challenging new roles, systems, or environments. Example: the new software has been a steep learning curve for everyone, but we're getting there. Repeat. A steep learning curve. Idiom 6. Touch base. Meaning, to make brief contact with someone to share information, check in, or maintain communication. Register. Informal professional. Extremely common in email and spoken workplace communication. Example: can we touch base later this week? I want to make sure we're aligned before the board presentation. Repeat. Touch base. Idiom 7. Pull your weight. Meaning, to do your fair share of the work within a team or group. Register. Informal. Can be slightly critical when applied to others. Example: everyone on the team needs to pull their weight during this final push. We can't afford to have anyone coasting. Repeat. Pull your weight. Idiom 8. Ahead of the curve. Meaning, more advanced, innovative, or forward-thinking than others in the same field or situation. Register. Informal professional. Often used as a compliment. Example: the company has always tried to stay ahead of the curve on sustainability. They were doing this years before it became industry standard. Repeat. Ahead of the curve. Idiom 9. Circle back. Meaning, to return to a topic, decision, or conversation at a later time. Register. Informal professional. Very common in meetings and email. Example: that's a great point, but let's circle back to it after we've dealt with the budget question. Repeat. Circle back. Idiom 10. The bottom line. Meaning, the most important point or the final financial result, the essential conclusion. Register. Informal professional. Very widely used. Example: the bottom line is that we cannot launch without more testing. Everything else is secondary to that. Repeat. The bottom line. Idiom 11. A ballpark figure. Meaning, a rough estimate, not precise, but giving a general sense of scale. Register. Informal professional. Very common when exact numbers are not yet available. Example: I don't have the final costs yet, but can you give me a ballpark figure so I can put together the initial proposal? Repeat. A ballpark figure. Idiom 12. Low-hanging fruit, meaning tasks, goals, or opportunities that are easy to achieve without significant effort. The simplest wins available. Register. Informal professional, sometimes used slightly dismissively. Example, we should go for the low-hanging fruit first. The quick wins will build momentum before we tackle the harder problems. Repeat, low-hanging fruit. Idiom 13, take the lead, meaning to be the person who initiates, directs, or is primarily responsible for something. Register. Informal professional, positive and action-oriented. Example, Sarah is going to take the lead in the client relationship from now on. She has the strongest rapport with them. Repeat, take the lead. Idiom 14, a game changer, meaning something that fundamentally and significantly changes the situation, industry, or approach. Register. Informal professional, used enthusiastically. Example, this new technology could be a genuine game changer for how we handle customer data. Repeat, a game changer. Idiom 15, bandwidth, meaning the capacity someone has to take on more work, responsibility, or information. Originally a technical term, now used widely in professional contexts. Register. Informal professional. Very current. Example. I'd love to help with that project, but I honestly don't have the bandwidth right now. I'm already at capacity. Repeat. Bandwidth. Idiom 16. Throw someone under the bus, meaning to unfairly blame someone else for a problem in order to protect yourself. Register. Informal, often used to describe something that has happened rather than something planned. Example, when the project failed, he threw the whole team under the bus in the review meeting. Nobody had seen it coming. Repeat. Throw someone under the bus. Idiom 17. Run it up the flagpole, meaning to present an idea to someone in authority to see what their reaction is before committing to it. Register. Informal professional, slightly dated but still widely used. Example, it's an interesting idea. Let me run it up the flagpole and see what the director thinks before we spend any more time on it. Repeat. Run it up the flagpole. Idiom 18. Keep your cards close to your chest, meaning to be secretive about your intentions, plans, or information, not revealing more than necessary. Register. Informal professional, used with some admiration in negotiation contexts. Example, he always keeps his cards close to his chest in contract discussions. You never quite know what his opening position really is. Repeat. Keep your cards close to your chest. Idiom 19. Draw a line in the sand, meaning to establish a limit or boundary that you will not allow to be crossed, a point beyond which you will not compromise. Register. Informal professional, decisive and firm. Example, we've been flexible on a lot of things, but on quality standards, we need to draw a line in the sand. This is not negotiable. Repeat. Draw a line in the sand. Idiom 20. In the pipeline, meaning being planned or developed, not yet complete or public, but progressing toward completion. Register. Informal professional, very common in business contexts. Example: there are several new products in the pipeline that should be ready for launch by Q3. Repeat: in the pipeline. Idiom 21, reinvent the wheel, meaning to waste time creating something that already exists, to solve a problem that has already been solved. Register: informal professional, usually used negatively. Example: before we start building this from scratch, let's check what already exists. There's no point reinventing the wheel. Repeat: reinvent the wheel. Idiom 22, a moving target, meaning a goal, requirement, or situation that keeps changing, making it difficult to plan or aim effectively. Register: informal professional, often used in frustration. Example: the project requirements have been a moving target from the beginning. Every time we think we know what's needed, something changes. Repeat: a moving target. Idiom 23, boil the ocean, meaning to attempt something impossibly large or complex, to try to do everything at once rather than focusing. Register: informal professional, usually a warning or criticism. Example: we don't need to boil the ocean here. Let's identify the 3 most important things and start there. Repeat: boil the ocean. Idiom 24, a gut feeling, meaning an instinctive reaction or intuition about something, a sense that cannot be explained through reason alone. Register: informal, used in both professional and personal contexts. Example: I have a gut feeling that the merger isn't going to go through, though I can't tell you exactly why. Something doesn't add up. Repeat: a gut feeling. Idiom 25, push the envelope, meaning to go beyond established limits, to try something more challenging, innovative, or extreme than what has been done before. Register: informal professional, positive and ambitious. Example: this campaign needs to push the envelope creatively. We've played it safe for too long. Repeat: push the envelope. 25 workplace idioms done. These are the ones in every meeting, every email thread, every performance review. Let us continue. Category 2, social idioms, at every dinner party and gathering. These 25 idioms are the ones that circulate in social life, at dinners, gatherings, casual conversations, and all the spaces between work, where people relate to each other as people rather than as colleagues. Idiom 26, break the ice, meaning to say or do something that relieves tension or awkwardness at the start of a social situation. Register: informal, universal. Example: he told a self-deprecating story about getting lost on the way to the party, which immediately broke the ice with everyone. Repeat: break the ice. Idiom 27, let your hair down, meaning to relax completely and enjoy yourself, abandoning formality or restraint. Register: informal, usually used positively, often as an invitation. Example: it's the end of a very long year. Tonight, we're all going to let our hair down and not think about work. Repeat: let your hair down. Idiom 28, a small world, meaning an expression of surprise at discovering unexpected connections between people or places. Register: informal, universal. Example: it turns out her brother went to school with my cousin. What a small world. Repeat: a small world. Idiom 29, on the tip of my tongue, meaning when you know something but cannot quite remember it at this moment. Register, informal, universal. Example, what is the name of that restaurant we went to last summer? It's on the tip of my tongue. Repeat, on the tip of my tongue. Idiom 30, steal the show, meaning to attract the most attention or admiration in a group, to be the most impressive or memorable. Register, informal, usually a compliment. Example, the children completely stole the show at the wedding. Everyone was watching them on the dance floor. Repeat, steal the show. Idiom 31, in the same boat, meaning in the same difficult situation as someone else. Register, informal, creates solidarity. Example, we're all in the same boat with the rising costs. Nobody's finding it easy right now. Repeat, in the same boat. Idiom 32, the elephant in the room, meaning an obvious problem or difficult topic that everyone is aware of, but nobody is talking about. Register, informal, can be used humorously or seriously. Example, nobody mentioned the elephant in the room, which is that the two of them hadn't spoken in 3 years. Repeat, the elephant in the room. Idiom 33, bite the hand that feeds you, meaning to act against or harm someone who has been helping or supporting you. Register, informal, often used as a warning or criticism. Example, he criticized his main sponsor publicly. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. It was a serious mistake. Repeat, bite the hand that feeds you. Idiom 34, a blessing in disguise, meaning something that seemed bad or unfortunate at first, but turned out to have positive consequences. Register, informal, reflective and usually positive in tone. Example, losing that job was a blessing in disguise. It pushed me to start my own business, which I never would have done otherwise. Repeat, a blessing in disguise. Idiom 35, the more the merrier, meaning the situation or event will be better with more people involved. Register, informal, welcoming and generous. Example, bring whoever you like. We have plenty of food, and the more the merrier as far as I'm concerned. Repeat, the more the merrier. Idiom 36, put your foot in it, meaning to say something accidentally that causes embarrassment or offense. Register, informal, British English primarily, very common. Example, I mentioned his ex-wife not knowing they'd just separated. I really put my foot in it. Repeat, put your foot in it. Idiom 37, once in a blue moon, meaning rarely, very infrequently. Register, informal, used with affection for things that happen rarely. Example, she only visits once in a blue moon, but when she does, the whole family comes together. Repeat, once in a blue moon. Idiom 38, at the drop of a hat, meaning immediately, without hesitation, at a moment's notice. Register, informal, often describes a positive willingness to help. Example, she would drop everything at the drop of a hat for her friends. That's just who she is. Repeat, at the drop of a hat. Idiom 39, get out of hand, meaning to go beyond control, to become unmanageable or extreme. Register, Informal, concerned or exasperated in tone. Example, the argument got completely out of hand. What started as a disagreement about logistics became very personal. Repeat, get out of hand. Idiom 40, on thin ice, meaning in a risky situation where you could easily make a serious mistake or cause problems. Register, informal, used as a warning. Example, after the last incident, he was already on thin ice with the committee. This latest decision has made things much worse. Repeat, on thin ice. Idiom 41, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, meaning two options are essentially the same. There is no meaningful difference between them. Register, informal, used when making a distinction that does not really matter. Example, it doesn't really matter whether we take the highway or the back roads at this time on a Sunday. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Repeat, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Idiom 42, let sleeping dogs lie, meaning to avoid raising a past issue or conflict that has settled down, to leave things as they are. Register, informal, cautionary, and wise in tone. Example, I thought about bringing it up again, but decided to let sleeping dogs lie. The situation had resolved itself, and reopening it would only cause more trouble. Repeat, let sleeping dogs lie. Idiom 43, barking up the wrong tree, meaning to be pursuing the wrong person, direction, or solution, to be mistaken about where the answer lies. Register, informal, slightly amused or exasperated. Example, if you think I'm the one who organized that, you're completely barking up the wrong tree. Talk to Marcus. Repeat, barking up the wrong tree. Idiom 44, hit it off, meaning to immediately like someone and get along very well with them from the first meeting. Register, informal, warm and positive. Example, the two of them hit it off immediately at the conference. By the end of the day, they were making plans to collaborate. Repeat, hit it off. Idiom 45, take it with a pinch of salt, meaning to be skeptical about something, to not fully believe it or not take it too seriously. Register, informal, cautionary. Example, I'd take anything he says about the finances with a pinch of salt. He has a tendency to be optimistic to the point of inaccuracy. Repeat, take it with a pinch of salt. Idiom 46, burn bridges, meaning to permanently damage a relationship or opportunity through your actions, making future reconciliation or collaboration impossible. Register, informal, used as a warning. Example, she left without working her notice period and said some things she probably shouldn't have. She's burned a few bridges there. Repeat, burn bridges. Idiom 47, the last straw, meaning the final problem or annoyance in a series that causes someone to finally lose patience. Register, informal, used with exasperation. Example, his lateness had been a problem for months, but missing the client meeting was the last straw. She had to address it. Repeat, the last straw. Idiom 48, bite off more than you can chew, meaning to take on more responsibility, work, or commitment than you are actually able to manage. Register, informal, self-aware, or cautionary. Example, I said yes to 3 projects in January, and by February I realized I'd bitten off more than I could chew. Something had to give. Repeat. Bite off more than you can chew. Idiom 49. Get a second wind. Meaning, to regain energy and enthusiasm after a period of tiredness or difficulty. Register, informal, positive, and energizing. Example, I was exhausted after the first half of the day, but got a second wind after lunch and ended up working until 8. Repeat, get a second wind. Idiom 50. Bury the hatchet. Meaning, to end a conflict and make peace with someone. Register, informal, positive, and conciliatory. Example, the two of them had been falling out for years, but they finally buried the hatchet at the reunion. Life's too short. Repeat, bury the hatchet. 50 idioms, 2 complete categories. Let us continue through the remaining 10 categories. Category 3. Idioms for frustration. What people say when things go wrong. These 25 idioms are used when something is annoying, disappointing, or going in entirely the wrong direction. Idiom 51. Drive someone up the wall. Meaning, to irritate or annoy someone intensely. Register, informal, emphatic. Example, his habit of leaving the cabinet doors open drives me absolutely up the wall. Repeat, drive someone up the wall. Idiom 52, at your wit's end. Meaning, having run out of ideas or patience, completely at a loss for how to proceed. Register, informal, desperate or exasperated. Example, I've tried everything I can think of and nothing is working. I'm genuinely at my wit's end with this. Repeat, at your wit's end. Idiom 53, go around in circles. Meaning, to keep discussing the same thing without making any progress. Register, informal, frustrated, and resigned. Example, we've been in this meeting for 2 hours and we're just going around in circles. Can we agree on a decision and move on? Repeat, go around in circles. Idiom 54, flogging a dead horse. Meaning, to waste time and effort on something that has already failed or cannot be changed. Register, informal, British English especially, resigned. Example, he keeps trying to revive the original concept, but it was rejected 3 months ago. He's flogging a dead horse. Repeat, flogging a dead horse. Idiom 55, the last thing on my mind. Meaning, something you are not thinking about at all, the furthest from your current thoughts or priorities. Register, informal, used to express that something is not a concern. Example, work is the last thing on my mind right now. I'm on vacation and I intend to stay that way. Repeat, the last thing on my mind. Idiom 56, up in the air. Meaning, uncertain and not yet decided or resolved. Register, informal, used about plans, decisions, or situations in flux. Example, the whole restructure is still up in the air. Nobody knows what the organization is going to look like in 6 months. Repeat, up in the air. Idiom 57, miss the boat. Meaning, to miss an opportunity because you acted too late. Register, informal, regretful. Example, we should have invested in that technology 5 years ago. I think we've missed the boat on this one. Repeat, miss the boat. Idiom 58, back to square one, meaning returning to the beginning of a process after a failure, having to start again. Register. Informal, frustrated and resigned. Example: the client has rejected the entire concept. We're back to square one. Repeat. Back to square one. Idiom 59, hit a wall, meaning to suddenly stop making progress, to reach a point where you cannot advance further. Register. Informal, honest and direct. Example: the research has hit a wall. We've exhausted all the obvious avenues and need a completely different approach. Repeat. Hit a wall. Idiom 60, at loggerheads, meaning in a state of strong disagreement with someone, unable to reach any common ground. Register. Informal to formal, British English especially. Example: the two departments have been at loggerheads over the budget for months, and it's beginning to affect the whole organization. Repeat. At loggerheads. Idiom 61, caught between a rock and a hard place, meaning facing a choice between two equally difficult or unpleasant options. Register. Informal, very common. Example: if I agree to the new terms, I lose control of the project. If I don't, I lose the contract entirely. I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. Repeat. Caught between a rock and a hard place. Idiom 62, fall through the cracks, meaning to be missed, overlooked, or neglected, to fail to receive appropriate attention in a system. Register. Informal professional, often used with concern. Example: when both teams assumed the other was handling it, the client request fell through the cracks. It's a systems problem. Repeat. Fall through the cracks. Idiom 63, a thorn in your side, meaning a persistent problem or person that causes ongoing irritation or difficulty. Register. Informal, can be used about people or situations. Example: the regulatory requirements have been a thorn in our side since the beginning. We spend more time on compliance than on actual development. Repeat. A thorn in your side. Idiom 64, go pear-shaped, meaning to go wrong, for a plan or situation to deteriorate in an unexpected way. Register. Informal, British English primarily. Example: the launch was going perfectly, and then in the final hour, everything went pear-shaped. The server couldn't handle the traffic. Repeat. Go pear-shaped. Idiom 65, a storm in a teacup, meaning a situation that has been treated as much more serious or significant than it actually is. Register. Informal, British English especially. Example: the whole controversy was a storm in a teacup. By the following week, nobody remembered it had happened. Repeat. A storm in a teacup. Idiom 66, jumping through hoops, meaning having to do many difficult, complex, or annoying tasks in order to achieve something. Register. Informal, exasperated. Example: the application process requires you to jump through so many hoops that many eligible people simply give up. Repeat. Jumping through hoops. Idiom 67, come unstuck, meaning To fail for a plan, arrangement, or person to encounter serious problems. Register. Informal. British English primarily. Example. The whole strategy came unstuck when the main supplier pulled out at the last minute. Repeat. Come unstuck. Idiom 68. A can of worms. Meaning, a situation that, once you start addressing it, will create many more complicated problems. Register. Informal. Cautionary. Example. If we start revisiting the terms of the original agreement, we're opening a real can of worms. I'd leave it alone. Repeat. A can of worms. Idiom 69. Sitting on the fence. Meaning, refusing to commit to a position or decision, remaining neutral when a view is expected. Register. Informal. Can be slightly critical. Example. He's been sitting on the fence about the proposal for weeks. At some point, he needs to decide. Repeat. Sitting on the fence. Idiom 70. Blow up in your face. Meaning, for a plan or action to fail badly and publicly, with embarrassing or damaging consequences. Register. Informal. Dramatic. Example. The whole approach blew up in their faces when the press got hold of the internal emails. Repeat. Blow up in your face. Idiom 71. Have your hands tied. Meaning, to be unable to act because of rules, constraints, or circumstances beyond your control. Register. Informal professional, apologetic or explanatory. Example. I'd love to offer you a better rate, but my hands are tied. The pricing structure is set centrally and I can't override it. Repeat. Have your hands tied. Idiom 72. Clutching at straws. Meaning, to desperately try any option available, even very unlikely ones, when in a hopeless situation. Register. Informal. Sympathetic or slightly critical. Example. They keep proposing solutions that don't address the real problem. At this point, they're just clutching at straws. Repeat. Clutching at straws. Idiom 73. Spinning your wheels. Meaning, to expend a lot of effort without making any real progress. Register. Informal professional. Frustrated. Example. We've been spinning our wheels on this for 3 weeks. We need to stop, reassess, and find a completely different approach. Repeat. Spinning your wheels. Idiom 74. Burning the candle at both ends. Meaning, to exhaust yourself by working or being active for too many hours, often by working late and starting early. Register. Informal. Concerned or self-aware. Example. She's been burning the candle at both ends for months. It's only a matter of time before it catches up with her. Repeat. Burning the candle at both ends. Idiom 75. The tip of the iceberg. Meaning, a small, visible part of a much larger problem that is mostly hidden. Register. Informal professional. Serious and foreboding. Example. The complaints we've received are just the tip of the iceberg. The underlying problem affects far more customers than those who have spoken up. Repeat. The tip of the iceberg. 75 idioms. 3 categories. Let us continue. Category 4. Idioms for success, achievement, and recognition. These 25 idioms are used when things go well, when effort produces results, when recognition arrives, when a goal is reached. Idiom 76, go the extra mile, meaning to make more effort than is required, to do more than the minimum expected. Register, informal, positive and admiring. Example, she always goes the extra mile for clients. It's why the retention rate in her team is so much higher than average. Repeat, go the extra mile. Idiom 77, nail it, meaning to do something perfectly, to succeed completely at a task or challenge. Register, informal, enthusiastic. Example, he nailed the presentation. Every question answered, every concern addressed. The client was completely won over. Repeat, nail it. Idiom 78, bear fruit, meaning for effort, planning, or work to produce positive results. Register, informal, professional, slightly formal. Example, the years of investment in the brand are finally beginning to bear fruit. The market share numbers are encouraging. Repeat, bear fruit. Idiom 79, pull off, meaning to succeed at something difficult or unlikely. Register, informal, impressed. Example, nobody thought they could pull off an event this size with a team of 4. They proved everyone wrong. Repeat, pull off. Idiom 80, come into your own, meaning to reach a point where your abilities and qualities are fully recognized and appreciated. Register, informal, warm and admiring. Example, she really came into her own once she was given more responsibility. The previous role had been too small for her. Repeat, come into your own. Idiom 81, make a name for yourself, meaning to become well-known and respected in a particular field or area. Register, informal, professional, ambitious or admiring. Example, he's made quite a name for himself in the industry in a very short time. The work speaks for itself. Repeat, make a name for yourself. Idiom 82, stand out from the crowd, meaning to be noticeably different from others in a positive way, to be more impressive, distinctive, or memorable. Register, informal, professional, positive. Example, in a category this competitive, you need something that genuinely stands out from the crowd. Incremental improvements won't be enough. Repeat, stand out from the crowd. Idiom 83, hit the nail on the head, meaning to describe or identify something exactly correctly, to be precisely right. Register, informal, affirming. Example, you've hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what the problem is. I couldn't have put it better myself. Repeat, hit the nail on the head. Idiom 84, go from strength to strength, meaning to continue to become more successful or improve over time. Register, informal, professional, admiring. Example, the organization has gone from strength to strength since the new leadership team took over 18 months ago. Repeat, go from strength to strength. Idiom 85, rise to the occasion, meaning to perform well or effectively when the situation demands something exceptional. Register. Informal, professional, admiring. Example. The team really rose to the occasion during the crisis. Under enormous pressure, they delivered everything that was needed. Repeat. Rise to the occasion. Idiom 86. Leave your mark, meaning to have a lasting impact or influence, to create a legacy that continues after you have gone. Register. Informal, professional, respectful. Example. She left her mark on every department she worked in. The systems she built are still being used today. Repeat. Leave your mark. Idiom 87. Pay dividends, meaning to produce benefits or rewards, especially over time from an earlier investment of effort. Register. Informal, professional, positive. Example. The decision to invest in training early has paid real dividends. The team's capability now is night and day from where it was. Repeat. Pay dividends. Idiom 88. Come out on top, meaning to win or succeed, especially in a competitive situation. Register. Informal, triumphant. Example. It was a tough competition, but she came out on top. 3 years of consistent effort finally paid off. Repeat. Come out on top. Idiom 89. Hit your stride, meaning to reach the point at which you are performing at your natural best, comfortable, confident, and effective. Register. Informal, observational. Example. It took about 6 months, but once she hit her stride in the role, the results were remarkable. Repeat. Hit your stride. Idiom 90. Knock it out of the park, meaning to do something extremely well, far exceeding expectations. Register. Informal, enthusiastic. Originally American, but now widely used. Example. The design team absolutely knocked it out of the park with this rebrand. I don't think any of us expected it to be this good. Repeat. Knock it out of the park. Idiom 91. Gain the upper hand, meaning to achieve a position of advantage over a competitor or opponent. Register. Informal, professional, slightly competitive. Example. After the third quarter results, the company has clearly gained the upper hand in the market. Repeat. Gain the upper hand. Idiom 92. Set the bar, meaning to establish a standard of quality or achievement that others will be measured against. Register. Informal, professional. Can be used as a compliment. Example. That campaign set the bar for everything that came after it. Nothing in the category has matched it since. Repeat. Set the bar. Idiom 93. In your element, meaning doing something that suits your abilities perfectly, in a situation where you feel completely comfortable and capable. Register. Informal, warm, and observational. Example. She's absolutely in her element when she's presenting. You can see the confidence the moment she steps in front of an audience. Repeat. In your element. Idiom 94. Live up to the hype, meaning to be as good as the expectations or publicity that preceded it. Register. Informal. Can be positive or negative. Example. The product actually lived up to the hype, which is rarer than you'd think. Most things that are anticipated that heavily disappoint. Repeat. Live up to the hype. Idiom 95. The real deal. Meaning, something or someone that is genuinely what they claim to be, authentic and as impressive as they appear. Register. Informal. Emphatic endorsement. Example. I was skeptical at first, but after working with her for a month, I can tell you she's the real deal. Absolutely as good as everyone says. Repeat. The real deal. Idiom 96. Turn the corner. Meaning, to reach a point at which a difficult situation begins to improve. Register. Informal, professional, hopeful. Example. After 2 very difficult quarters, I think we've finally turned the corner. The latest numbers suggest the strategy is beginning to work. Repeat. Turn the corner. Idiom 97. Make your mark. Meaning, to do something that will be noticed and remembered, to have a significant positive impact. Register. Informal, professional, ambitious. Example. He was determined to make his mark in the organization before moving on. He succeeded. Repeat. Make your mark. Idiom 98. Against all odds. Meaning, despite facing great difficulties or very unfavorable circumstances. Register. Informal, admiring and dramatic. Example. Against all odds, the small startup beat the 2 largest established players to win the contract. Repeat. Against all odds. Idiom 99. The best of both worlds. Meaning, a situation in which you have the advantages of 2 different things simultaneously. Register. Informal, satisfied. Example. Working from home 3 days a week gives me the best of both worlds, the collaboration of the office and the focus of home. Repeat. The best of both worlds. Idiom 100. Fire on all cylinders. Meaning, to be operating at full capacity and efficiency, performing at your best. Register. Informal, professional, positive. Example. The team is finally firing on all cylinders after a slow start to the year. Everything is clicking into place. Repeat. Fire on all cylinders. 100 idioms, 4 categories. We are a third of the way through this masterclass. Let us push forward. Category 5. Idioms for difficulty, challenge, and hard work. These 25 idioms describe the experience of working through something hard, the language of effort, struggle, persistence, and the particular texture of genuinely difficult work. Idiom 101. Uphill battle. Meaning, a task or situation that requires great and sustained effort because of obstacles or opposition. Register. Informal. Honest and resigned. Example. Convincing the board is going to be an uphill battle. They've already made their position clear. Repeat. Uphill battle. Idiom 102. In the trenches. Meaning, doing difficult, unglamorous work at the most fundamental level. The day-to-day hard work that actually gets things done. Register. Informal. Respectful and honest. Example. It's easy to talk about strategy from the top. The people in the trenches are the ones actually making it happen. Repeat. In the trenches. Idiom 103. The lion's share. Meaning, the largest or most significant portion of something. Register. Informal. Observational. Example. She did the lion's share of the work, but didn't receive credit in the final report. That needs to be addressed. Repeat, the lion's share. Idiom 104, knuckle down, meaning to apply yourself seriously and diligently to a task, to stop procrastinating and get to work. Register, informal, motivating. Example, we've spent a lot of time planning. It's time to knuckle down and actually do the work. Repeat, knuckle down. Idiom 105, keep your nose to the grindstone, meaning to work consistently and diligently without distraction. Register, informal, approving or instructional. Example, there are 3 weeks left before the deadline. I just need to keep my nose to the grindstone and get it done. Repeat, keep your nose to the grindstone. Idiom 106, swim against the tide, meaning to work in opposition to the prevailing direction or popular opinion. Register, informal, admiring or cautionary. Example, she spent years swimming against the tide in an industry that resisted change. The industry eventually caught up with her. Repeat, swim against the tide. Idiom 107, earn your stripes, meaning to prove your worth through hard work and experience, to gain respect by demonstrating your abilities. Register, informal, earned and respectful. Example, he spent 5 years in junior roles before being promoted. He earned his stripes. Nobody could question his credentials. Repeat, earn your stripes. Idiom 108, up against the clock, meaning working under significant time pressure, racing against a deadline. Register, informal, urgent. Example, we're up against the clock on this one. The submission closes at midnight and we still have the final section to write. Repeat, up against the clock. Idiom 109, run a tight ship, meaning to manage something with strict discipline and careful control. Register, informal, professional, approving. Example, she runs a very tight ship in that department. Nothing gets missed and the standards are consistently high. Repeat, run a tight ship. Idiom 110, move mountains, meaning to achieve something that seems almost impossible, to overcome extraordinary obstacles. Register, informal, emphatic. Example, he moved mountains to get that contract signed. Nobody else would have managed it in the time available. Repeat, move mountains. Idiom 111, weather the storm, meaning to survive or endure a difficult period successfully. Register, informal, resolute and patient. Example, it has been an extraordinarily difficult year, but the organization has weathered the storm. We're still standing. Repeat, weather the storm. Idiom 112, bite the bullet, meaning to endure something painful or difficult because it is necessary, to accept and get through something unpleasant. Register, informal, decisive and resolute. Example, the layoffs are painful but necessary. We're going to have to bite the bullet and make the announcement this week. Repeat, bite the bullet. Idiom 113, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, meaning to improve your situation through your own hard work and determination, without external help. Register, informal, admiring of self-reliance. Example, he came from nothing and built everything himself. A genuine pull yourself up by your bootstraps story. Repeat, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Idiom 114, on the front line, meaning in the position that is most directly exposed to difficulty, pressure, or challenge. Register, informal professional, respectful. Example, the customer service team is on the front line every day dealing with complaints. They need better support and tools. Repeat, on the front line. Idiom 115, the long haul, meaning a long period of sustained effort toward a distant goal. Register, informal, patient and determined. Example, this isn't a quick fix. It's a long-haul problem that will require consistent effort over years. Repeat, the long haul. Idiom 116, have a lot on your plate, meaning to have many responsibilities, tasks, or problems to deal with simultaneously. Register, informal, sympathetic. Example, I can see she has a lot on her plate right now. Perhaps this is not the best moment to add to her workload. Repeat, have a lot on your plate. Idiom 117, dig in, meaning to begin working with serious effort and determination. Register, informal, motivating. Example, right then, we have 4 hours before the deadline. Let's dig in. Repeat, dig in. Idiom 118, run the gauntlet, meaning to face a series of difficulties, criticisms, or challenges from multiple sides. Register, informal, dramatic and vivid. Example, the new policy had to run the gauntlet of 3 committees and 2 public consultations before it was approved. Repeat, run the gauntlet. Idiom 119, burn the midnight oil, meaning to stay up very late at night to work. Register, informal, acknowledges dedication. Example, we've been burning the midnight oil all week to get this ready. Everyone has put in extraordinary hours. Repeat, burn the midnight oil. Idiom 120, go through the motions, meaning to do something without genuine effort, enthusiasm, or commitment, performing only the outward form of something. Register, informal, critical or concerned. Example, he's been going through the motions since the restructure. He's present, but he's not really engaged anymore. Repeat, go through the motions. Idiom 121, pull no punches, meaning to be completely direct and honest without softening what you say. Register, informal, admiring. Example, she pulled no punches in her assessment of the team's performance. It was difficult to hear, but everyone respected her for it. Repeat, pull no punches. Idiom 122, work your fingers to the bone, meaning to work extremely hard for a sustained period. Register, informal, emphatic. Example, she worked her fingers to the bone to get that qualification while raising 3 children. It was an extraordinary achievement. Repeat, work your fingers to the bone. Idiom 123, an upward battle, meaning a task made harder by external circumstances that are working against you. Register, informal, resigned and honest. Example, getting new suppliers approved through the procurement process is always an uphill battle. Repeat, an upward battle. Idiom 124, soldier on, meaning to continue doing something difficult despite obstacles or discouragement. Register, informal, determined and slightly stoic. Example, the conditions were terrible, but the team soldiered on and delivered what they had promised. Repeat, soldier on. Idiom 125, in the thick of it, meaning at the most active or difficult part of something, fully involved in the most intense phase. Register, informal, vivid and immediate. Example, we're right in the thick of it at the moment. The next 3 weeks are going to be the hardest of the whole project. Repeat, in the thick of it. Category 6, idioms for relationships. How people actually talk about each other. These 25 idioms describe human relationships, the language of connection, friction, closeness, distance, and all the complicated spaces between people. Idiom 126, read someone like a book, meaning to understand someone's thoughts and feelings very easily, to see through what they are presenting to what they are actually feeling. Register, informal, confident and observational. Example, she reads people like a book. Within 10 minutes of meeting someone, she knows exactly what's going on with them. Repeat, read someone like a book. Idiom 127, keep someone at arm's length, meaning to maintain a deliberate emotional or physical distance from someone, to avoid becoming too close. Register, informal, careful and slightly protective. Example, he keeps everyone at arm's length professionally. It makes him effective, but it also makes him difficult to work with. Repeat, keep someone at arm's length. Idiom 128, be on the same wavelength, meaning to think in a very similar way to someone, to understand each other naturally and easily. Register, informal, warm. Example, we're on exactly the same wavelength creatively. That's why the collaboration works so well. Repeat, be on the same wavelength. Idiom 129, rub someone up the wrong way, meaning to irritate or annoy someone, often unintentionally, by your manner or behavior. Register, informal, British English primarily. Example, his directness rubs some people up the wrong way at first. Once they know him, they understand it's just how he communicates. Repeat, rub someone up the wrong way. Idiom 130, have a soft spot for, meaning to have a particular fondness or affection for someone. Register, informal, warm and sometimes slightly indulgent. Example, she has a soft spot for the youngest member of the team and is probably less demanding of him than of the others. Repeat, have a soft spot for. Idiom 131, cross paths, meaning to encounter or meet someone, sometimes unexpectedly. Register, informal, casual and observational. Example, we first crossed paths at a conference in Edinburgh 7 years ago. I didn't expect we'd end up working together. Repeat, cross paths. Idiom 132, fall out, meaning to have a quarrel that ends or damages a relationship. Register, informal, British English especially. Example, they fell out over something quite minor, but neither of them was willing to be the first to apologize. Repeat. Fall out. Idiom 133. Like chalk and cheese. Meaning, completely different from each other in character or personality. Register. Informal, British English primarily. Example. The two brothers are like chalk and cheese. One is methodical and reserved. The other is spontaneous and outgoing. Repeat. Like chalk and cheese. Idiom 134. Bend over backwards. Meaning, to make extraordinary effort to help or accommodate someone. Register. Informal, positive. Example. They bent over backwards to make us feel welcome. I've never had such attentive service. Repeat. Bend over backwards. Idiom 135. Turn the other cheek. Meaning, to accept injury or insult without retaliating. To respond with patience rather than anger. Register. Informal, sometimes admiring, sometimes concerned. Example. She turned the other cheek every time he was rude, but there are limits to how long anyone can sustain that. Repeat. Turn the other cheek. Idiom 136. See eye to eye. Meaning, to agree with someone, to share the same view on something. Register. Informal, neutral. Example. We don't always see eye to eye, but we respect each other's positions. The relationship works because of that mutual respect. Repeat. See eye to eye. Idiom 137. Know someone inside out. Meaning, to understand someone extremely well, to be familiar with all aspects of their character. Register. Informal, close, and warm. Example. We've worked together for 15 years. I know her inside out, and she knows me. It makes the collaboration very efficient. Repeat. Know someone inside out. Idiom 138. Rub off on someone. Meaning, for a quality or habit to be transferred to someone through close association. Register. Informal, observational. Example. His optimism rubs off on everyone around him. The whole team is more positive when he's in the room. Repeat. Rub off on someone. Idiom 139. In someone's corner. Meaning, to be actively supporting someone, to be on their side and ready to defend them. Register. Informal, warm, and loyal. Example. Whatever happens in that review, I want you to know I'm in your corner. You have my full support. Repeat. In someone's corner. Idiom 140. Talk at cross purposes. Meaning, to have a conversation in which both people are misunderstanding each other, each talking about something slightly different. Register. Informal, clarifying. Example. I think we've been talking at cross purposes. When you said earlier we could be flexible, I understood that to mean something different from what you intended. Repeat. Talk at cross purposes. Idiom 141. Wear your heart on your sleeve. Meaning, to openly show your emotions, to express your feelings without concealing them. Register. Informal, observational. Example. She wears her heart on her sleeve, which means everyone always knows where she stands. It can make her vulnerable, but it also makes her very easy to trust. Repeat. Wear your heart on your sleeve. Idiom 142. Give someone the cold shoulder, meaning to deliberately ignore or be unfriendly toward someone. Register, informal, social or professional. Example: since the argument, she's been giving him the cold shoulder. The atmosphere in the office has been uncomfortable. Repeat. Give someone the cold shoulder. Idiom 143. Have someone's back. Meaning, to be ready to support or protect someone in any situation. To be their reliable ally. Register, informal, loyal. Example: don't worry about what they say in that meeting. I've got your back, and I'll say so clearly. Repeat. Have someone's back. Idiom 144. Grow on someone. Meaning, to become more likable or appreciated over time. To be enjoyed more the more you experience something. Register, informal, patient. Example: I wasn't sure about the new format at first, but it grows on you. I quite like it now. Repeat. Grow on someone. Idiom 145. Be at someone's beck and call. Meaning, to be always available to do whatever someone wants, to be completely under their direction. Register, informal, sometimes critical. Example: she treats the whole team as if they're at her beck and call. The resentment is building. Repeat. Be at someone's beck and call. Idiom 146. Know which way the wind blows. Meaning, to understand how a situation is developing and what is likely to happen. To be politically aware. Register, informal, perceptive. Example: he always knows which way the wind blows. He'd positioned himself with the new leadership months before the announcement. Repeat. Know which way the wind blows. Idiom 147. Take someone under your wing. Meaning, to guide, protect, and help someone less experienced. To act as a mentor. Register, informal, warm and supportive. Example: she took him under her wing when he first joined and helped him navigate the organization. He's remained grateful ever since. Repeat. Take someone under your wing. Idiom 148. Have mixed feelings. Meaning, to have a combination of positive and negative emotions about something. To feel uncertain or conflicted. Register, informal, honest and thoughtful. Example: I have very mixed feelings about the promotion. The opportunity is exciting, but the loss of the team I've built is genuinely difficult. Repeat. Have mixed feelings. Idiom 149. Rattle someone's cage. Meaning, to deliberately provoke or unsettle someone. Register, informal, slightly amused or slightly critical. Example: he knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted to rattle her cage and see how she responded under pressure. Repeat. Rattle someone's cage. Idiom 150. Thick as thieves. Meaning, very close and friendly, sharing a strong bond and often secrets. Register, informal, observational. Example: the two of them are thick as thieves. They've been inseparable since they started in the same cohort 5 years ago. Repeat. Thick as thieves. 150 idioms. 6 complete categories. We are halfway through this masterclass. Let us push through the remaining 6. Category 7. Idioms for time. How native speakers actually talk about time. Idiom 151. In the nick of time. Meaning, at the last possible moment, just before it was too late. Example, he arrived in the nick of time. Another 5 minutes and we would have left without him. Repeat, in the nick of time. Idiom 152. Buy time. Meaning, to delay something in order to create more time to deal with a problem or situation. Example, the temporary agreement bought us enough time to find a permanent solution. Repeat, buy time. Idiom 153. Behind the times. Meaning, not up to date with current developments, trends, or thinking. Example, the approach feels a bit behind the times. The industry has moved on significantly since this was last reviewed. Repeat, behind the times. Idiom 154. In the long run. Meaning, over a long period of time, taking into account the eventual outcome rather than the immediate situation. Example, the upfront investment is significant, but in the long run, it will save considerably more than it costs. Repeat, in the long run. Idiom 155. Against the clock. Meaning, racing to complete something before a deadline expires. Example, the whole team is working against the clock to get this ready for the launch date. Repeat, against the clock. Idiom 156. Make up for lost time. Meaning, to work harder or faster to compensate for a period during which progress was not made. Example, we had a slow start, but we're making up for lost time now. The pace has been exceptional these last few weeks. Repeat, make up for lost time. Idiom 157. On borrowed time. Meaning, continuing to exist or function for longer than might reasonably be expected, likely to end soon. Example, the old system is on borrowed time. It's only held together by workarounds, and it will fail eventually. Repeat, on borrowed time. Idiom 158. In the meantime. Meaning, during the time between two events, while waiting for something else to happen. Example, the report won't be ready until Thursday. In the meantime, let's work with the preliminary data. Repeat, in the meantime. Idiom 159. Time flies. Meaning, time passes very quickly, especially when you are engaged or enjoying something. Example, I can't believe it's been 5 years. Time really does fly. Repeat, time flies. Idiom 160. Do something in no time. Meaning, to accomplish something very quickly. Example, she'll have this sorted in no time. She's dealt with exactly this kind of issue before. Repeat, do something in no time. Idiom 161. The 11th hour. Meaning, the last possible moment before a deadline or critical point. Example, an 11th hour agreement was reached, preventing the industrial action that had seemed inevitable. Repeat, the 11th hour. Idiom 162. Run out of steam. Meaning, to lose energy, enthusiasm, or momentum. Example, the campaign started strongly, but ran out of steam in the final month. Better planning of the later stages is needed. Repeat, run out of steam. Idiom 163, sooner or later, meaning at some point in the future, inevitably, even if not immediately. Example, if we don't address this properly, sooner or later it will become a much more serious problem. Repeat, sooner or later. Idiom 164, from the word go, meaning from the very beginning. Example, from the word go, it was clear this was going to be an unusually complex project. Repeat, from the word go. Idiom 165, kill time, meaning to do something unimportant to fill a period of waiting. Example, we had 2 hours before the next flight, so we found a cafe and killed time reading and watching the departure board. Repeat, kill time. Idiom 166, ahead of time, meaning earlier than expected or planned. Example, if you can submit it ahead of time, that would give the committee more opportunity to review it properly. Repeat, ahead of time. Idiom 167, the moment of truth, meaning a critical point at which something important will be decided or revealed. Example, tomorrow's results are the moment of truth for the whole strategy. We'll know by noon whether it's working. Repeat, the moment of truth. Idiom 168, day in, day out, meaning every single day, consistently, used to describe sustained, repeated activity. Example, she manages an enormous workload day in, day out without complaint. It's genuinely remarkable. Repeat, day in, day out. Idiom 169, in due course, meaning at the appropriate time, eventually, when the time is right. Example, the results will be communicated to all staff in due course. We expect to have the final picture by the end of the week. Repeat, in due course. Idiom 170, better late than never, meaning it is better for something to happen late than not at all. Example, the apology came 3 years after the event. Better late than never, but the timing does somewhat undercut its impact. Repeat, better late than never. Idiom 171, long overdue, meaning something that should have happened much earlier, significantly delayed beyond when it was needed. Example, this review is long overdue. The policy hasn't been updated in 8 years. Repeat, long overdue. Idiom 172, while the iron is hot, meaning to take advantage of an opportunity at the best moment, to act while conditions are favorable. Example, the market is receptive right now. We need to move while the iron is hot. Repeat, while the iron is hot. Idiom 173, in retrospect, meaning looking back at the past with knowledge of what subsequently happened. Example, in retrospect, the early warning signs were all there. We simply didn't see what they were telling us. Repeat, in retrospect. Idiom 174, live in the moment, meaning to focus fully on the present rather than worrying about the past or future. Example, she's learned to live in the moment more. The constant planning was making her miss what was actually happening. Repeat, live in the moment. Idiom 175, on the spur of the moment, meaning done suddenly and without advance planning, spontaneously. Example, we decided on the spur of the moment to take a different route and ended up discovering the most extraordinary village. Repeat, on the spur of the moment. Category 8, idioms for personality and character. Idiom 176, down to earth, meaning practical, sensible, and without pretension, unpretentious and honest. Example, despite her success, she remains completely down to earth. She makes everyone around her feel comfortable immediately. Repeat, down to earth. Idiom 177, a dark horse, meaning a person who has hidden abilities or qualities that are not yet publicly known. Example, he was a dark horse in the leadership race. Nobody had predicted he would emerge as a serious candidate. Repeat, a dark horse. Idiom 178, a cold fish, meaning a person who is unfriendly, distant, or lacks warmth. Example, he's a bit of a cold fish in meetings. Once you get to know him socially, it's different, but professionally, he's hard to reach. Repeat, a cold fish. Idiom 179, have a thick skin, meaning to be able to receive criticism or unkind remarks without being hurt or upset. Example, you need a thick skin to work in that environment. The feedback culture is direct to the point of being brutal. Repeat, have a thick skin. Idiom 180, be your own worst enemy, meaning to act in a way that causes harm to yourself, to undermine your own interests through your behavior. Example, she's her own worst enemy. The talent is undeniable, but she consistently gets in her own way. Repeat, be your own worst enemy. Idiom 181, have a head for, meaning to have a natural aptitude or ability for a particular subject or skill. Example, she has a remarkable head for numbers. She can see patterns in data that take everyone else much longer to find. Repeat, have a head for. Idiom 182, a people person, meaning someone who is naturally good with other people, who enjoys and is skilled at social interaction. Example, he's a real people person. He puts clients at ease immediately, and they consistently rate him as their favorite contact. Repeat, a people person. Idiom 183, not suffer fools gladly, meaning to have little patience for people who are foolish or incompetent. Example, she doesn't suffer fools gladly, which can make her intimidating, but the people who work hard for her earn enormous loyalty. Repeat, not suffer fools gladly. Idiom 184, level-headed, meaning calm, rational, and sensible, particularly in difficult situations. Example, in a crisis, you want someone level-headed in charge. She never panics, and she always thinks clearly under pressure. Repeat, level-headed. Idiom 185, a ray of sunshine, meaning a person who brings happiness and positivity to those around them. Example, she's an absolute ray of sunshine in that department. The culture has genuinely improved since she joined. Repeat, a ray of sunshine. Idiom 186, have your head in the clouds, meaning to be out of touch with reality, to have impractical or unrealistic ideas. Example, the concept is creative, but he has his head in the clouds about what's actually achievable with the budget we have. Repeat, have your head in the clouds. Idiom 187, play devil's advocate, meaning to argue against a position you may actually agree with in order to test the argument or encourage discussion. Example, let me play devil's advocate for a moment. What if the most important customer segment is the one we have been ignoring? Repeat, play devil's advocate. Idiom 188, have your feet on the ground, meaning to be realistic and practical, grounded in how things actually work. Example, despite enormous early success, she always kept her feet on the ground. She never lost perspective. Repeat, have your feet on the ground. Idiom 189, an old hand, meaning someone with a great deal of experience in a particular area. Example, ask David about the procurement process. He's an old hand at this. He's been through it more times than anyone. Repeat, an old hand. Idiom 190, play your cards right, meaning to make smart decisions and handle a situation well in order to achieve the best possible outcome. Example, if you play your cards right in this negotiation, there's a very good contract available here. Repeat, play your cards right. Idiom 191, straight as an arrow, meaning completely honest and direct, with no deception or hidden agenda. Example, you can trust him completely. He's straight as an arrow. What you see is exactly what you get. Repeat, straight as an arrow. Idiom 192, a rough diamond, meaning a person who has admirable qualities but lacks social polish or refinement. Example, he's a bit of a rough diamond, but there's real talent there. With some development, he could be exceptional. Repeat, a rough diamond. Idiom 193, larger than life, meaning someone whose personality, presence, or behavior seems bigger and more dramatic than normal. Example, he's a larger-than-life character who fills every room he enters. You always know when he's arrived. Repeat, larger than life. Idiom 194, set in their ways, meaning unwilling to change established habits or routines, resistant to doing things differently. Example, the challenge with the new system is that some of the senior team are very set in their ways. The implementation will require patience. Repeat, set in their ways. Idiom 195, a force to be reckoned with, meaning a person or thing that is powerful and must be taken seriously. Example, the new competitor has emerged as a genuine force to be reckoned with. We cannot afford to underestimate them. Repeat, a force to be reckoned with. Idiom 196, a hard nut to crack, meaning a person who is difficult to understand or deal with, or a problem that is difficult to solve. Example, the European market has been a hard nut to crack. We've been trying to establish ourselves there for 3 years. Repeat, a hard nut to crack. Idiom 197, an open book, meaning a person who is very easy to understand, whose thoughts and feelings are obvious and unconcealed. Example, she's an open book. She genuinely has nothing to hide, and it shows in every interaction. Repeat, an open book. Idiom 198, under someone's thumb, meaning completely controlled by or under the authority of another person. Example, the department has been under his thumb for years. Nobody makes a decision without his approval, which creates a real bottleneck. Repeat, under someone's thumb. Idiom 199, a natural, meaning someone who has an innate talent for something, who does something with instinctive skill. Example, she's a natural in front of the camera. You can see the ease the moment she starts. It cannot be taught. Repeat, a natural. Idiom 200, call a spade, meaning to say exactly what something is without softening or euphemism, to be completely direct. Example, I'm going to call a spade here. The project failed because of poor leadership, not external factors. Repeat, call a spade a spade. 200 idioms, 8 categories complete. Let us finish with the final 4 categories. Category 9, idioms for money and financial situations. Idiom 201, tighten your belt, meaning to spend less money due to financial pressure. Example, with costs rising across the board, everyone is having to tighten their belts this year. Repeat, tighten your belt. Idiom 202, cost a fortune, meaning to be very expensive. Example, the refurbishment cost a fortune, but the impact on staff morale has been worth every penny. Repeat, cost a fortune. Idiom 203, in the red, meaning in debt, spending more than is being earned. Example, the department has been in the red for 2 consecutive quarters. Something needs to change. Repeat, in the red. Idiom 204, break even, meaning to reach a point where income exactly covers expenses, neither making profit nor loss. Example, at current rates, we expect to break even by the middle of next year. Repeat, break even. Idiom 205, worth its weight in gold, meaning extremely valuable or useful. Example, good contacts in this industry are worth their weight in gold. It's a relationship business. Repeat, worth its weight in gold. Idiom 206, on a shoestring, meaning with very little money, managing on an extremely tight budget. Example, they built the entire first version on a shoestring. The early frugality is what made the later success possible. Repeat, on a shoestring. Idiom 207, money talks, meaning financial power is what ultimately determines decisions or outcomes. Example, ultimately, money talks. The proposal with the best financial backing will win, regardless of merit. Repeat, money talks. Idiom 208, foot the bill, meaning to pay for something, especially when the cost is significant or unexpected. Example, the client refused to foot the bill for changes that had been made without written authorization. Repeat, foot the bill. Idiom 209, cash cow, meaning a product, service, or business that reliably generates significant profit. Example, the legacy software has been a cash cow for years. The question is how long it can sustain that before the market moves on. Repeat, cash cow. Idiom 210. Put your money where your mouth is. Meaning, to back up your words with action, especially financial commitment. Example, if you believe in this as strongly as you say, put your money where your mouth is and invest in it. Repeat, put your money where your mouth is. Idiom 211. A penny saved is a penny earned. Meaning, saving money is as valuable as earning it. Frugality is as financially beneficial as income. Example, we need to be as focused on costs as on revenue. A penny saved really is a penny earned. Repeat, a penny saved is a penny earned. Idiom 212. Get your money's worth. Meaning, to receive full value for what you have paid. Example, at that price, you absolutely get your money's worth. The quality and the service together make it very good value. Repeat, get your money's worth. Idiom 213. In the black. Meaning, making a profit, financially healthy. Example, for the first time in 4 years, the organization is in the black. The financial turnaround has been remarkable. Repeat, in the black. Idiom 214. On the house. Meaning, free of charge, provided at no cost by the establishment. Example, the manager brought us dessert on the house to apologize for the delay. It was a generous gesture. Repeat, on the house. Idiom 215. Cut corners. Meaning, to do something in a cheaper or less thorough way than is proper. To save time or money by not doing something correctly. Example, you can cut corners on some things, but not on safety. There is no acceptable compromise there. Repeat, cut corners. Idiom 216. Not break the bank. Meaning, to not cost an unreasonably large amount of money. To be affordable. Example, it's a modest improvement to the office, but it won't break the bank, and the staff will appreciate it. Repeat, not break the bank. Idiom 217. A drop in the ocean. Meaning, a very small contribution to a large problem. An amount that is insignificant relative to what is needed. Example, the grant is welcome, but it's a drop in the ocean compared to the actual funding gap. Repeat, a drop in the ocean. Idiom 218. Hit rock bottom. Meaning, to reach the lowest possible point financially, emotionally, or situationally. Example, the company hit rock bottom in 2019 and had to completely restructure. The recovery since then has been extraordinary. Repeat, hit rock bottom. Idiom 219. Keep your head above water. Meaning, to manage to survive financially or cope with difficulty despite very tight conditions. Example, with 3 children and a mortgage, keeping your head above water on a single income is enormously challenging. Repeat, keep your head above water. Idiom 220. Every penny counts. Meaning, small amounts of money are all significant when resources are limited. Example, in the current climate, every penny counts. We need to scrutinize every line of the budget. Repeat, every penny counts. Idiom 221. Pay through the nose. Meaning, to pay an excessively high price for something. Example, the consultancy fees were extraordinary. We paid through the nose for advice that we could have sourced internally. Repeat, pay through the nose. Idiom 222. Make ends meet. Meaning, to earn just enough money to cover basic living expenses. Example, with both salaries reduced, they were struggling to make ends meet. The situation was genuinely stressful. Repeat, make ends meet. Idiom 223, a good investment, meaning something that proves to be worth the time, effort, or money spent on it. Example, the training was a good investment. The improvement in the team's capability has been measurable. Repeat, a good investment. Idiom 224, live within your means, meaning to spend only what you earn, to not spend beyond your income. Example, the advice she gives to young people is always the same, Liz. Live within your means from the beginning, and you will avoid enormous future stress. Repeat, live within your means. Idiom 225, money doesn't grow on trees, meaning money is not unlimited. It must be earned and should not be wasted. Example, when the team requested a significant additional budget with no justification, the response was simple: money doesn't grow on trees. Repeat, money doesn't grow on trees. Category 10, idioms for health, energy, and physical states. Idiom 226, on the mend, meaning recovering from illness or injury, gradually getting better. Example, she's on the mend after the surgery. We expect her back in the office by the middle of next month. Repeat, on the mend. Idiom 227, full of beans, meaning very energetic, lively, and enthusiastic. Example, he arrived full of beans despite the early start. Nobody quite knows where he gets the energy. Repeat, full of beans. Idiom 228, in the pink, meaning in very good health, at your physical best. Example, she looked wonderfully well, genuinely in the pink. The break has obviously done her the world of good. Repeat, in the pink. Idiom 229, at death's door, meaning very seriously ill, close to dying. Example, he was at death's door, but the treatment worked. The recovery has been genuinely miraculous. Repeat, at death's door. Idiom 230, burning with energy, meaning having enormous enthusiasm and vitality. Example, she came into the new role burning with energy, and that energy has been infectious throughout the team. Repeat, burning with energy. Idiom 231, dead on your feet, meaning completely exhausted, so tired you can barely function. Example, after 3 20-hour days, she was dead on her feet. Nobody questioned the decision to take the following day off. Repeat, dead on your feet. Idiom 232, fight fit, meaning in excellent physical condition. Example, he had been training seriously for 6 months and arrived at the competition fight fit. Repeat, fight fit. Idiom 233, have one foot in the grave, meaning to be very old or very ill, close to the end of life. Example, he's been saying he's got 1 foot in the grave for 20 years, and he's still going strong at 90. Repeat, have 1 foot in the grave. Idiom 234, in fine fettle, meaning in good health and spirits. Example, he looked in fine fettle at the reunion. Retirement has clearly been agreeing with him enormously. Repeat, in fine fettle. Idiom 235, take it easy, meaning to relax and not work too hard. Often said as advice to someone who is ill or overworked. Example, the doctor told her to take it easy for the next 2 weeks. Complete rest is what she needs. Repeat, take it easy. Idiom 236, burn yourself out, meaning to exhaust yourself completely through excessive work or effort. Example, he burned himself out by 40 trying to build the business too fast. It took years to fully recover. Repeat, burn yourself out. Idiom 237, have a spring in your step, meaning to move with energy and enthusiasm, to seem particularly happy and vital. Example, she had a spring in her step all week after the news. Whatever had happened had clearly lifted her enormously. Repeat, have a spring in your step. Idiom 238, back on your feet, meaning recovered from illness, difficulty, or setback, functioning normally again. Example, it took longer than expected, but she's fully back on her feet now. The team is relieved to have her back. Repeat, back on your feet. Idiom 239, not feel yourself, meaning to feel unwell or emotionally out of sorts, not at your normal state. Example, I haven't been feeling myself all week. Nothing specific, just below par. Repeat, not feel yourself. Idiom 240, wear yourself thin, meaning to stretch your energy and resources by trying to do too much. Example, she's been wearing herself thin trying to manage 3 projects simultaneously. Something will have to give. Repeat, wear yourself thin. Idiom 241, give someone a new lease of life, meaning to renew someone's enthusiasm, health, or energy, to bring new vitality to something or someone. Example, the new role gave her a complete new lease of life. She's more energized than she's been in years. Repeat, give someone a new lease of life. Idiom 242, fit as a fiddle, meaning in excellent physical condition and very healthy. Example, despite the difficult year, he looks fit as a fiddle. Whatever he's doing is clearly working. Repeat, fit as a fiddle. Idiom 243, run down, meaning exhausted and in poor health, depleted physically. Example, she's been looking very run down lately. She needs a proper break rather than another working weekend. Repeat, run down. Idiom 244, have a hollow leg, meaning to be able to eat or drink a great deal without appearing to be affected. Example, he ate 3 plates and then had dessert. The man has a hollow leg. Repeat, have a hollow leg. Idiom 245, on your last legs, meaning almost finished or completely exhausted, close to the end of what you can manage. Example: the system is on its last legs. We've been patching it for years, but it simply cannot continue. Repeat: on your last legs. Idiom 246, hale and hearty, meaning strongly and robustly healthy. Example: he's hale and hearty at 82. Whatever his secret is, more of us should know it. Repeat: hale and hearty. Idiom 247, bounce back, meaning to recover quickly and fully from a setback or illness. Example: she bounced back from the surgery much faster than the doctors expected. She was back to full activity within 3 weeks. Repeat: bounce back. Idiom 248, peak condition, meaning at the highest possible level of fitness and health. Example: the athletes need to be in peak condition for the competition. The preparation in the coming weeks is critical. Repeat: peak condition. Idiom 249, sleep like a log, meaning to sleep very deeply and soundly without waking. Example: after the most exhausting week of the year, I slept like a log on Friday night. I didn't move for 10 hours. Repeat: sleep like a log. Idiom 250, under the knife, meaning having surgery. Example: he goes under the knife next Thursday. The procedure is routine, but the recovery will take several weeks. Repeat: under the knife. Category 11, idioms from sport that entered everyday English. Idiom 251, level the playing field, meaning to make conditions equal for all, to remove unfair advantages. Example: the new regulations are designed to level the playing field and give smaller providers a genuine chance to compete. Repeat: level the playing field. Idiom 252, a different ballgame, meaning a completely different situation, something that requires a new approach. Example: managing a team of 50 is a completely different ballgame from managing a team of 5. Everything changes at that scale. Repeat: a different ballgame. Idiom 253, a running battle, meaning a continuing conflict or struggle. Example: the organization has been fighting a running battle with the regulator for years over the compliance requirements. Repeat: a running battle. Idiom 254, batting on a sticky wicket, meaning to be in a difficult position, particularly in an awkward argument or situation. Register: British English primarily, cricket origin. Example: he's batting on a very sticky wicket, trying to justify that decision. The evidence against it is overwhelming. Repeat: batting on a sticky wicket. Idiom 255, keep the ball rolling, meaning to maintain progress or momentum, to ensure something continues. Example: after the initial success, the challenge is keeping the ball rolling. Sustaining momentum is harder than creating it. Repeat: keep the ball rolling. Idiom 256, step up to the plate, meaning to take responsibility for something important, to accept a challenge that needs someone to address it. Example: when the manager left unexpectedly, she stepped up to the plate without being asked. The leadership was natural. Repeat: step up to the plate. Idiom 257, race against time, meaning to have very little time to do something important before a deadline. Example: with the submission due at midnight, It was a genuine race against time to get the final section completed. Repeat. Race against time. Idiom 258. On the back foot. Meaning, in a defensive position, at a disadvantage and trying to recover. Example. The negative coverage put us on the back foot at the start of the campaign. It took weeks to regain momentum. Repeat. On the back foot. Idiom 259. A marathon, not a sprint. Meaning, something that requires sustained, long-term effort rather than quick intensity. Example. Building a great team culture is a marathon, not a sprint. You cannot rush it and you cannot fake it. Repeat. A marathon, not a sprint. Idiom 260. Par for the course. Meaning, what is to be expected, normal or typical for a given situation. Example. A 3-month delay in planning approval is pretty much par for the course in this area. Build it into the timeline. Repeat. Par for the course. Idiom 261. Own goal. Meaning, an action that inadvertently harms your own interests. Register. British English primarily. Football origin. Example. Releasing that statement without checking the facts was a spectacular own goal. They handed the opposition exactly what they needed. Repeat. Own goal. Idiom 262. Full throttle. Meaning, at maximum speed and intensity, with complete commitment. Example. We're going full throttle on this for the next 3 weeks. Everything else takes a back seat. Repeat. Full throttle. Idiom 263. The final hurdle. Meaning, the last obstacle remaining before a goal is achieved. Example. We're over the final hurdle now. The contract is signed and we can begin. Repeat. The final hurdle. Idiom 264. Jump the gun. Meaning, to act prematurely, to start something before the appropriate or agreed time. Example. They jumped the gun by announcing the partnership before it was officially confirmed. It created unnecessary complications. Repeat. Jump the gun. Idiom 265. Move the dial. Meaning, to make a meaningful, measurable change or improvement. Example. After 18 months of effort, we're finally starting to move the dial on customer satisfaction scores. Repeat. Move the dial. Idiom 266. Touch and go. Meaning, uncertain, could go either way with no guarantee of a successful outcome. Example. The negotiation was touch and go right until the final hour. Nobody was certain which way it would go. Repeat. Touch and go. Idiom 267. A knockout. Meaning, something that is extremely impressive and successful. Example. The product launch was a knockout. Sales exceeded projections by 40% in the first week. Repeat. A knockout. Idiom 268. Throw in the towel. Meaning, to give up, to admit defeat and stop trying. Example. After 3 years of trying to make the concept work, they finally threw in the towel. The market had spoken. Repeat. Throw in the towel. Idiom 269. A photo finish. Meaning, a situation that is decided by an extremely small margin, very close at the end. Example, the vote was a photo finish. The decision went through by a single vote. Repeat, a photo finish. Idiom 270, knock someone for six, meaning to shock or surprise someone completely, to affect them very strongly. Register, British English primarily, cricket origin. Example, the news knocked him for six. He had no idea the decision had been made without his input. Repeat, knock someone for six. Idiom 271, in someone's corner, meaning actively supporting someone, as a corner person does for a boxer between rounds. Example, whatever happens in that meeting, know that I'm in your corner. You have my unconditional support. Repeat, in someone's corner. Idiom 272, a hat trick, meaning 3 successes of the same kind achieved by one person. Originally, 3 consecutive goals. Example, winning the award 3 years in a row is quite the hat trick. The team should be extraordinarily proud. Repeat, a hat trick. Idiom 273, go the distance, meaning to complete the full course of something challenging, to persist until the end. Example, the project was grueling, but the team went the distance. That resilience is what makes them exceptional. Repeat, go the distance. Idiom 274, ahead of the game, meaning having an advantage because you have prepared or acted earlier than others. Example, the early investment in automation has kept us ahead of the game. Competitors are only now beginning to catch up. Repeat, ahead of the game. Idiom 275, a slam dunk, meaning something that is a certain or obvious success, a guaranteed positive outcome. Register, originally American, now widely used. Example, given the client's priorities and our track record in this area, this pitch should be a slam dunk. Repeat, a slam dunk. Category 12. Idioms from nature that native speakers still reach for. Idiom 276, weather the storm, meaning to survive a difficult situation through endurance and patience. Example, the organization has weathered the storm remarkably well. Coming out the other side with the culture intact is a genuine achievement. Repeat, weather the storm. Idiom 277, sow the seeds, meaning to do something now that will produce results or consequences in the future. Example, the workshops are designed to sow the seeds of a different kind of culture. The full harvest takes years. Repeat, sow the seeds. Idiom 278, go with the flow, meaning to accept things as they are and adapt, rather than resisting or trying to change the situation. Example, when the schedule changed at the last minute, she simply went with the flow. That adaptability is one of her great strengths. Repeat, go with the flow. Idiom 279, branch out, meaning to expand into a new area, to move beyond your existing range of activities. Example, the company is branching out into digital services this year. It's a significant strategic shift. Repeat, branch out. Idiom 280, take root, meaning to become established, for a new idea, habit, or culture to become firmly set. Example, the new values are beginning to take root in the organization. It's taken time, but the behaviors are genuinely shifting. Repeat, take root. Idiom 281, bear the brunt, meaning to suffer the main impact of something unpleasant, to receive the worst effects. Example, the customer service team bore the brunt of the complaints following the service failure. They need recognition for how they handled it. Repeat, bear the brunt. Idiom 282, nip in the bud, meaning to stop something at an early stage before it develops into a larger problem. Example, the conflict between the two managers was nipped in the bud before it spread to their teams. Good early intervention. Repeat, nip in the bud. Idiom 283, clear the air, meaning to resolve tension or misunderstanding through open and honest conversation. Example, the two of them needed to have a direct conversation to clear the air. The indirect tension was affecting everyone around them. Repeat, clear the air. Idiom 284, ride out the storm, meaning to endure a difficult period and wait for it to pass. Example, there is nothing to do at this stage but ride out the storm. The external conditions will eventually change. Repeat, ride out the storm. Idiom 285, put down roots, meaning to establish yourself permanently in a place, to settle. Example, after years of moving, she finally put down roots in one city. The stability has made an enormous difference. Repeat, put down roots. Idiom 286, a ray of hope, meaning a small sign that things may improve, something positive in an otherwise difficult situation. Example, the latest trial results are a genuine ray of hope. It's the first positive signal in months. Repeat, a ray of hope. Idiom 287, dig your heels in, meaning to stubbornly refuse to change your position or decision. Example, she dug her heels in on the timeline. Whatever the pressure, she wasn't moving from the original date. Repeat, dig your heels in. Idiom 288, bear fruit, meaning for hard work or plans to produce results. Example, the patient investment in the brand is beginning to bear fruit. The awareness numbers are finally moving. Repeat, bear fruit. Idiom 289, a breath of fresh air, meaning someone or something new and different that is welcome and refreshing. Example, the new director is a genuine breath of fresh air. The leadership style is completely different, and people are responding very positively. Repeat, a breath of fresh air. Idiom 290, shake things up, meaning to make significant changes, to disrupt the existing order and create something different. Example, the board brought in the new leadership specifically to shake things up. The old approach had stopped working. Repeat, shake things up. Idiom 291, leave no stone unturned, meaning to try every possible option, to explore every avenue in the search for something. Example, we left no stone unturned in the investigation. Every possible cause was examined. Repeat, leave no stone unturned. Idiom 292, sit on the fence, meaning to avoid committing to a position, to remain neutral when a view is expected. Example, at some point you have to stop sitting on the fence and declare where you stand. The team needs to know. Repeat, sit on the fence. Idiom 293, turn over a new leaf, meaning to make a fresh start, to change your behavior or attitude for the better. Example, after the difficult period, she was determined to turn over a new leaf. The commitment to change has been genuine. Repeat, turn over a new leaf. Idiom 294, come to a head, meaning for a situation to reach a crisis point, for tensions or problems to reach their most acute stage. Example, the situation came to a head when two senior managers publicly contradicted each other at the board meeting. Repeat, come to a head. Idiom 295, cast a shadow, meaning to have a negative or worrying effect on a situation, to create a dark or uncertain atmosphere. Example, the ongoing uncertainty about the merger is casting a shadow over everything. People cannot focus properly. Repeat, cast a shadow. Idiom 296, lay the groundwork, meaning to do the preparation and foundational work that will make future progress possible. Example, the first phase is all about laying the groundwork. The visible results will come later. Repeat, lay the groundwork. Idiom 297, stem the tide, meaning to stop or slow the growth or development of something, usually something unwanted. Example, the new measures are designed to stem the tide of customer departures. Whether they will be sufficient remains to be seen. Repeat, stem the tide. Idiom 298, go against the grain, meaning to act contrary to what is natural, expected, or conventional. Example, recommending that we slow down at this point goes against the grain for everyone in this room, but it's the right decision. Repeat, go against the grain. Idiom 299, scatter to the four winds, meaning to disperse in all directions, for a group to separate and go their different ways. Example, after the company closed, the team scattered to the four winds. Several of them have gone on to build remarkable things independently. Repeat, scatter to the four winds. Idiom 300, take the rough with the smooth, meaning to accept the difficult parts of a situation as well as the pleasant ones, to deal with both good and bad without complaint. Example, running your own business means taking the rough with the smooth. The rewards are real, but so are the challenges. Repeat, take the rough with the smooth. Closing, 300 idioms, 12 categories, and we have done it together. I want to take a moment before you close this lesson to name what has actually happened here, because it is not simply that you have learned 300 phrases. You have learned the compressed language of English experience. the shorthand that native speakers have developed over centuries for communicating complex ideas, emotions, and situations in the most efficient form possible. Every idiom in this lesson represents something that English speakers have said so many times, in so many contexts, about so many situations, that the phrase has become detached from its literal meaning and has taken on a life of its own. It now carries meaning that the individual words could never carry alone. That is what fluency sounds like from the inside. Not effort, not searching, just reach. Your hand going to the right phrase because it is already there, already yours, already embedded. Here is what I want you to do before you close this lesson. Go back through the 12 categories and choose 30 idioms, the ones you can imagine actually using in the next month. Not the most obscure ones, not the most impressive ones, the ones that belong to the conversations you actually have. Write them down. Say each one 5 times, and then use at least 5 of them in real situations before the end of this week. Because these idioms are not ready until they have been in your mouth, until you have heard them come from your own voice, until the day a native speaker hears one of them and thinks, without knowing why, this person speaks English the way English wants to be spoken. This channel publishes a brand new English lesson every single day. If today's masterclass gave you the idioms you have been missing from your English, the ones you heard but never quite owned, please subscribe now and press the bell icon so you never miss what comes next. Before you go, please subscribe to English in Moments and press the bell icon so you never miss a new lesson. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for spending this time with me today. I'm Elena from English in Moments, and I will see you in the very next lesson.